right, y'all. It's 11 minutes after the hour, y'all. Everybody that's been watching the impeachment hearings, man, it is really going on, man. Donald Trump has his biggest nightmare. This lady sat up there with this British accent and just was straight up, straightforward. And I was watching it, and my mouth hit the floor. The way this lady testified of the things that's going on, and she said that Donald Trump sent Rudy Giuliani to pretty much to run an errand, his personal lawyer to do government business, and she was strong, one of the best witnesses I have seen, and her name is Dr. Fiona Hill, and she scolds Republicans for fictional narrative about the Ukraine election medal. And we got Glennon Threet, our political expert, on the phone. Glennon, good morning.
Good morning, Ricky, and good morning to the radio audience.
Good morning to the radio audience. Glennon, what you think about that testimony?
You know, I love it, Ricky. There's a concept in law where you always want to save the best for last, and Dr. Fiona Hill was an extraordinarily capable witness. You know, one of the things that the impeachment hearings has done is it gives the people and citizens of our country an insight into the role of career diplomats and the things that they do and how capable and their backgrounds and experience and talents. And she was giving them fits, Ricky. I really enjoyed it. It was probably the most enjoyable part of the entire impeachment hearings for me.
What stood out for you, Glenn, and what does all of that mean? And then the next question is, how do you think her testimony is going to play in the minds of the American people?
Well, I think what her testimony shows, once again, Ricky, is that there were a lot of people that are career diplomats that were not playing along with the scheme that was being concocted by the president and his minions. And so these people are risking their careers, they're risking their jobs to come out and speak publicly, even after they've been asked not to, in fact, directed not to by Mike Pompeo, who is their boss, and also by the president. So they're speaking at the peril of their careers and their jobs to tell the truths that they know. And it's an extraordinary act of courage from Lieutenant Colonel Vindman to Gordon Sumlin to all the rest of the career diplomats who testified. I think the most important thing about Dr. Hill's testimony is that she was completely unflappable. And when the Republicans tried to hit her with those conspiracy theories about the 2016 campaign, she just swatted them aside like flies, and it was unbelievable to listen to.
Right. So what do you think about what happens? So what happens next? So when does the vote go to the floor of the Congress for impeachment? What's next?
I think what happens next is that the committee will draft articles of impeachment. And then the articles of impeachment will be released. And that's like an indictment in a criminal case. It's a charging document that will specifically say what it is that the committee believes that the president has done that's an impeachable offense, and it will define it and set it forth pretty clearly. And then it will go to the House for very limited debate and then a vote. And I expect that to happen before the end of the year. So, I do believe that the Democrats have the votes to impeach the president. So we're getting ready to see something happen, in my view, in the next month to 6 weeks that has only happened 3 times before in the history of our country.
So Bill Clinton was already in the middle of his second, at the beginning of his second term when he was impeached. What does it look like for a president running to get reelected with the stain of impeachment by the House on his record? What do you think that looked like for his reelection?
Well, what it does, Ricky, is it turns the campaign into basically a one-issue campaign. And what you've noticed is that the Democrats who ran successfully on health care in 2018 and took over the House because of that issue, in my view, now the primary issue of the 2020 campaign is going to be impeachment and getting rid of the president. And what it does is, in my view, and unfortunately, it skews the nominating process for Democrats because the most important qualification is electability, meaning whether or not the Democratic nominee can get rid of Donald Trump as opposed to whether or not the Democratic nominee is the best person to be president. And so it unfortunately, again, in my view, it gives a disproportionate focus on President Trump as opposed to figuring out what the Democrats want to do going forward. And it really turns it into a one-issue campaign. That's unfortunate. It helps Joe Biden.
Right. Right. So, and of course, you don't think no senators in the United States Senate will start breaking as far as to vote to impeach the president, no matter what.
I don't think they will, Ricky, because if they can't get to 2/3, then there's no reason for them to show their cards. You know, there was a little hope in my mind when I heard that Mitt Romney had gone to the White House yesterday, because I was hoping that what that meant was that he was going to tell the president that he had a couple of other senators that were willing to vote for impeachment once it got to the Senate, but that apparently is not what they talked about. And so I expect the Republicans to close ranks like they've done in the House, and I expect that the trial in the Senate will be very short, probably about a week or so. The only reason it's going to be that long is to give cover to some of the Republican senators in swing states that need to at least say to their constituents that they took it seriously. Otherwise, Mitch McConnell would swat it away in 30 to 40 minutes.
Right. All right, Glenn, and let everybody, hey, we appreciate that information. So if you haven't been watching the impeachment hearings or whatever that's going on in the House, you got it first right here on the Rick Smiley Morning Show, because Glenn is going to always break it down and set it up where you can really understand it. And that's why you're one of the greatest law professors in the land. Glenn, let everybody know how you can be reached.
You can reach me at G3 on Twitter and follow me, join the conversation, and I'll follow you back.
There it is, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn and Three, y'all, Rick Smiley Morning Show.